All right, so today we're going to design this box with what is called a finger joint. It's a really strong joint that helps hold your structure together. So this is going to be useful for just about everybody in their design. First we're going to design a single part, and then we're going to put the four parts together. So let's go ahead and get started from scratch. So when you go into Onshape, you're going to the little plus sign in the lower right hand corner, and you can put your name and call it finger joint box. Don't forget the period of your class. I'm going to put period 99 because I know nobody's going to write that, so you can put 2576. Okay. Alright, so in the lower left hand side you'll see we're in the part studio. So let's go ahead and turn off the top plane and the right plane, and we're going to sketch on the front plane. Let's grab our sketch tool, and we can click on the word front on the left hand side, or you can click on the word front right on your space. And I'm going to select, going to select the line tool, upper left hand corner. Okay, I'm going to click on the navigation cube on the top right and change it to front, so I'm looking straight at the object from the front view. Now I'm going to press and hold my finger and go to the origin and let go, and then I'm going to go straight up, and then I'm going to release. Press and hold, drag it in, release. Press and hold, drag it in, release. Don't forget, if you mess up, you can always hit the undo, which is the arrow on the upper left hand corner, right, and undo any of your mistakes. There's also a trim tool on the left hand side, pair of scissors, and you can tap on any line. Now right now I don't have any tool selected. On the top bar you'll see the line tool. There you go. I'll toggle it on and off. Okay, line tool selected. So I'm holding the screen, right? Oh, I messed up. I don't want that line. Undo. Okay, I'm pressing the screen to get my selector. That's my selector tool. I didn't have my line tool on. Okay, line tool is on. Press and hold. Go to the origin, let go. Press and hold on the side. Okay, I'm going to vertical line, let go. Press and hold to the side. Notice it picks up right where I left off. Let go. Press and hold to the side. Let go. Press and hold to the side. Let go. And I'm not going to worry about drawing it perfectly. I'm going to use some tools to clean it up. Okay, let's see. I've got 3 vertical lines on the left, 3 vertical lines on the right, 4 on the left, and 4 on the right. Okay, I'm going to turn off my line tool, zoom in a little bit. All right, first thing I want to do is vertically align some points. It looks like the points I'm tapping on right now are all vertically aligned. If yours are not, you go to your tools, and on the left hand side near the bottom you'll see vertical, vertical, and that will vertically align them. The points on the right are definitely not vertically aligned. So I'm going to click on those, go to my tools and hit vertical. Great, those are lined up. Now I also want all those line segments to be the same length. If you're having trouble selecting the line or a point, you can always use the selector tool. Just press and hold and then drag it to whatever it is you want to select. In this case, we want to select all of these lines. We're going to make them all the same. You don't have to in the future, but for today's lesson it'll be easier if we do. And let's go to our tools, and we want to look for equal. It's actually right down the middle column towards the bottom. You see the equal sign? And I'm going to zoom out. And what that does, it gave them all equal length, which is great. Okay, now on the lower right-hand side over here, we're going to hit the check mark. And that sketch is temporarily done. I'm going to hit the 3 dots next to sketch 1. And I'm going to select copy sketch. Okay, and now I'm going to click those 3 dots again, and I'm going to paste that same sketch back into itself. I'll zoom out a little bit. So there's that sketch. Now I'm going to go back into that sketch and move that orange highlighted version of the sketch. So I need to click on the 3 dots next to sketch 1, and I hit edit. Okay, now it's already highlighted. To move it, all you got to do is click on, let's use our selector tool to grab the, I'm going to use the bottom corner. Okay, and then I'm just going to put my finger right on that dot at the bottom that I dragged to, and I can kind of move it over just to the right of the first sketch. Now to deselect, I double tap in the white space. Okay, that's just to so it knows that I don't want to move that part anymore. All right, so double tapping in the white space is pretty helpful. Now I want this to be perfectly horizontally aligned, so I'm going to click on the, I'm going to select the bottom of one sketch and the very bottom of the other. We're in the same sketch, but so I should say the bottom of each design. And then I go to my tools and I say I want them to be horizontally aligned. So on the right hand side towards the bottom you'll see horizontal, H-O-R-I-Z, horizontal. Okay. And now I want to draw a line connecting those two. So I can see my line tool at the top is still there. If it's not there for you, you could always grab it right from your tools. I'm going to press and hold and grab the bottom of one, press and hold, get the bottom of the other. And then same thing at the top, press and hold, press and hold. Okay, notice how it gets filled in dark gray because it's a complete defined area bound by a line. There's no openings anywhere. Okay, now I want to turn off my line tool, so I just tap at the top and I'm going to start dimensioning. Okay, let's go to our tools. On the right hand side, the 6th row down, it says dimension, D-I-M-E-N-S-I-O-N, dimension, 2 arrows. I'm going to press and hold and grab my origin, press and hold, and go all the way to the right side of my shape. And I want that to be 3 inches. So I make it a 3, hit the green check mark. Okay. Now I'm going to press and hold again and go to the origin, press and hold, and get this other point, right, which is vertically aligned with all the points above it. This dimension is 1/8 of an inch less than the full dimension, which is going to allow for the thickness of the cardboard of the piece that connects to this one. So I'm going to tap right on that number, and I'm going to actually delete. I'm going to press the little keyboard function and show you how you can use, let's delete. You can do a little math in Onshape. You can type in 3 inches, which is the full length, minus 1/8 of an inch, 1 divided by 8, right? And Onshape will actually do the math for you. Hit the check mark, 2.875. That's the same as 3 minus 1/8. Okay, and then finally, I'm going to go to the origin and get these points that are vertically aligned. Now this one's tricky. You've got to put your finger on, and you have to drag your finger below the points and in between the points. You can't be off to the right, off to the left. You have to be below the points and in between the points. And then let go. And this dimension is 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125. 125 thousandths is the same thing as 1/8. So we're looking pretty good. We still need a vertical dimension, so I'm going to go to the bottom and then press and hold, go to the top, pull that dimension out, and make it a 3-inch height. Now notice it did not affect the left side, so let's deselect the dimension tool. I'm going to select the line at the top of my design and make sure that's horizontal. So go to my tools, make it horizontal, and now notice the whole design turned black, which means not only is the shape of the design defined, but the location in three-dimensional space is defined, right? Because we're connected to the origin. The origin is the only thing that really has a definite location in Onshape. So you have to always reference to the origin or dimension to the origin in order for your shape to turn black and have a definite shape, a location. So we're done with this sketch. So on the lower right-hand side, we'll hit the check mark. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. And we can even turn off the front plane at this point by just clicking on this little eyeball on the left-hand side. And I'm going to extrude this out 1/8 of an inch, which is the thickness of the cardboard we're going to use for this activity. So I hit the little sphere at the top, and the upper left-hand corner says extrude, E-X-T-R-U-D-E. And then I just have to, follow the directions here. So I want to create a new part, all right? I'm not adding to an existing part. I'm not removing. Removing would be if you're making a hole in something. So new is correct. Now the orange thing is kind of calling your attention, saying, hey, you haven't selected anything yet. All you have to do is tap inside the gray area, and it pops out. Now the default is 1 inch. If you go down this list over here, you'll see the depth is 1 inch. You can click right on depth or 1 inch, tap on it, and make it 1/8, which is 125 thousandths, right? 0.125. If it doesn't look right, you can always fix it. Okay, if you make a mistake, all right, in terms of your extrusion, let's say I hit the check mark and I'm done, but I realize I extruded it the wrong amount, you can always click on the 3 dots next to extrusion and hit edit. And that'll take you right back here, and you can modify, how much you extruded it. I'm going to leave mine as 125 thousandths because that's the correct amount. And then you just hit the check mark at the top of this blue bar. Great. So I've got one piece, and I'm gonna bring that in 4 times into the assembly. So on the bottom of the screen, you'll see assembly 1. Click on that. And now it's an empty canvas. So on the top left, there's a little arrow pointing down into a box. That's the insert function. Okay. And now I'm gonna, where it says part 1 in this list, I'm just gonna tap it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now you can't tell that I brought in 4 pieces except for the fact that it says inserted 4. So if you see that, just below the little magnifying glass, inserted 4. And now I'm gonna hit the check mark, okay? Now I'm gonna go to the top view. I'm gonna use my navigation cube, go to the top, and I'm gonna separate these parts. So I'm gonna tap where they all are, and I'm gonna drag out, my fingers on the arrow, 1 piece, okay? I'm gonna double tap, which releases that piece, and I go back to this stack, and I'm going to use the square this time to drag this piece out to about here, and then I'm actually going to use the circle to rotate it. Okay, so square will allow you to translate in 2 different directions, and then the circle allows you to rotate. I'm going to double tap. I'm going to pull this first one out a little bit more, double tap, go back to the stack, let's rotate it, and use the square to drag it. Okay, double tap. So I'm going to use my finger on the screen to rotate, and I'm just going to see if it looks like it's assembled. The parts are going to fit together. That joint looks good. Okay, this one looks backwards. I've got to flip this piece around. So let me try to show you what I mean. If I move this piece a little closer, these parts are not going to fit together. So I'm going to flip this one right here. I'm going to use the circle on the right to flip it around. If you're having trouble getting the circle, you can always change your angle. All right, I'm going to move this up a little bit, double tap, and then these don't look like they're going to fit either, right? If I bring these pieces together, one should be zigging while the other is zagging, right? They're going to bump into each other. So let's flip this piece right here, use that little circle, flip it around. Whoa. Okay. If you want to get it really precise, you can always change your angle. So, if I wanted this to be rotated just the right amount, I could click on this piece from the side and then, try to be a little more of a perfectionist. You don't want the pieces to touch. Double tap. All right, you want them to be close but not touching. Now we're going to connect them. Okay. So, on the top left, those are our tools for connecting. And we're going to use the fastened mate tool. Okay, it's on the top row on the left, fastened mate. And what I'm going to do is select by holding the screen, and then I'm going to select this whole front face of this piece right here, which limits where I can now select. I have all these white dots. I'm going to zoom in and focus on the top left corner. So I'm going to press and hold again, and then I'm going to select this corner. Okay, now I need to say, well, what is going to be connecting to that on the other piece? So I say, I think it's going to be this surface right here. Oops, undo. I meant to select this surface without selecting a point. So I think it's going to be that surface. So now, and I think it's going to be this corner. Well, I'm going to hit the check mark. As you can see, that went too far. That was not the right surface to select. So I can undo that. On my mates on the bottom left, I can hit delete. Okay. And now I'm free to pull that part out a little bit. So I can remove it and try again. So let's try this again. I think the surface that I needed to select was this surface right here. Whoops. Turn on my fasten mate tool. I think the surface I needed to select was this surface right here. So I'm actually going to select that top corner, and then on the left piece, that corner right there, and those two go together. Okay. So that looks really good. So I'm going to rotate around, and I'm going to turn on my fasten mate tool again, press and hold, grab the front surface, and then it might be easier to, well, let me do it. Okay, this top corner, or you could even select this corner. This is where I'll show you what's going to connect to this corner right there. Right? Press and hold. This surface is going to be the one extending out all the way, but the corner that's going to select to the one on the left is this guy right there. That's going to connect. Check. That looks good. Rotate it around. You can also, if you want, you could flip it. You could put two fingers on the screen and flip it. Oh, that's not going to change anything. Let's go back to our isometric view. All right. So let's turn on our fasten mate tool again. Let's choose this piece this time, the right side, and then this top corner right here. And then we'll go to the piece on the left and this is the face that's going to stick out. And of those, I need to select the top right. That's going to connect. Check. And there we go. Now we have a box. And if I try to tap on any part and move it, it actually moves the whole box together. If I don't want it to move anymore, I can go to one of the parts on my list and hit fix, and then now the whole box will be restricted in terms of its movement.